'tis the season for Christmas tags on YouTube to go around. And I was talking to my friend Marie, and she suggested a Yule tag since I'm doing Yule this year. And I thought, that's a fantastic idea. So I started looking around, and I could not find any Yule tags or any Yule tag questions. So I decided to make my own. So here is, as far as I know, the first Yule tag. Number 1, have you ever made a Yule altar? Why, yes, I have, and I posted a video a couple of days ago of my Yule altar, and I know that there are plenty of beautiful videos out there of other people's Yule altars that they have made. So if you're interested in that, check out my video and type in Yule altar and go find some other people's and look at how everybody does theirs differently and what it means to each of us. Like I said, mine is more nature-centric. Number 2, do you have a real or fake tree for Yule? I have a fake tree. As much as I would love to have a real tree, I worry about the fire hazard because we like to leave our lights on our tree when we go looking at lights. Number 3, have you ever made Yule ornaments? Why, yes, I have. I made some dried orange slices, and they are hanging on my tree, and I will show you what my tree looks like at the end of this video. I did post a video of how to dry orange slices, so it was a lot of fun making my own, some of my own ornaments. Number 4, have you ever seen the solstice at Stonehenge? If not, would you want to? I would absolutely love to be at Stonehenge to see the solstice. If you don't know, Stonehenge is perfectly lined up, so when the solstice happens, it shines right through the middle, and it's just this. Find a YouTube video on it. Seriously, you need to see what it looks like. That is on my bucket list. I would love to go see Stonehenge in person, and I would love to be there during this time. Number 5, have you ever gone wassailing? Here we go, wassailing among the leaves of green. If you don't know what wassailing is, it was pretty much the precursor to caroling. People would go around their neighborhoods or their towns and go from house to house and sing songs of Yule. Anyway, people would go and they'd go to people's houses and they would sing, and then the people at the home would give them like a hot drink, wassail drink, or refreshments. I think there's a recipe for wassail, but I think it's more of like a mulled wine or mulled cider. Speaking of, number 6, do you prefer cider or mulled wine? I'm actually not a wine person at all. I don't even know if I've even tasted mulled wine because I'm just not a wine person. And I'm honestly not really a cider person. I would prefer cider over regular apple juice. I don't like apple juice. But a hot cup of cider with the right spices in it, maybe once a year, I can do that. Number 7, do you have any statues or pictures of the Holly King and or the Oak King? The Holly King usually looks like a woodsier version of what we know as Santa Claus. He sometimes wears red, but sometimes he wears green, but he just looks more woodsy. And actually, I have one right beside me. I love him. It's sold as Santa, but I got him because he looked very Yule and outdoorsy. Here he is. He's got his handmade skis and a little package, but not toys, and greenery. And then he's got the brown fur line. And I just thought that he was absolutely stunning. So he is my Holly King. He's so cool, isn't he? And I have a couple of carved Santas that are pretty much my favorite ornaments ever. But they're hand carved and I love them. But I actually love Santa Clauses very much, but I prefer them if they look more European, outdoorsy. And I love them when you find them in like the green and such. Okay. Number 8, have you ever eaten a Yule log cake? No, actually I haven't. They're kind of a pain to make. I would like to learn, but I've never eaten one before. I don't know anybody that's ever made one. Maybe I have eaten one. I have eaten one when I was younger at a Christmas party, but it was store-bought. And it reminded me of a Swiss roll, like a Little Debbie. It wasn't great. I would much rather prefer to try a homemade one. Number 9, have you ever made a Yule log cake? No, I have not, but it is actually on my list of things to learn. There's just something about it. I think it's because it's challenging. I've never made one because I actually don't have a jelly roll pan, and that's what you make your sponge in. But I would like to actually make one. It's not going to happen this year. I'm done baking for the year. Number 10, have you ever burned a Yule log? Unfortunately, well, okay, technically a Yule log is supposed to be a very large log that is thrown on a fire and is supposed to burn for 12 days, the 12 days of Christmas, which is from like Christmas to like New Year's, or the day after Christmas to New Year's or something. But anyway, it's supposed to burn through the 12 days of Christmas, and it's supposed to be this massive sucker that you're supposed to keep going. But because that's not as practical nowadays for many people to do, a Yule log can be a log that is thrown on the fire and burns for 12 hours during Christmas or during the actual solstice on the 21st. As far as that goes, I have had real fireplaces before that have had logs that have burned, but I don't know if I've ever had one that's burned for 12 full hours. I don't think I have, but I would like to. It would be awesome. I don't have a real fireplace here. I have an electric one, but that would be awesome to have. Even if you could keep like the same large log going for 12 hours, that would be awesome. Number 11. Have you ever had a Yule goat? No, and I want one. A Yule goat. If you don't know much about the Yule goat, it started off as a sacrifice. The legend of Thor's goats, I think they were named Gaptooth and something jawed, something tooth, Gaptooth and Tooth Grinder, I think were Thor's goats. And Thor, they pulled his chariot in, or whatever, and he went to somebody's house. I don't know the whole thing, but the person didn't have any food, so Thor slaughtered his goats to feed those people, and the next day he used his hammer to bring them back to life. But so it started off as kind of a sacrifice type thing, and then it turned into the Yule goat helping bring gifts to children. And nowadays there is a tradition of making a straw Yule goat, and you can actually put your wishes on it for the next year, and then you sacrifice it in your Yule fire and burn the goat, and then your wishes go up in the air. But I have not had a Yule goat. I actually almost bought one for a bonfire, and then I saw that it was going to, because I was going to do a solstice fire, and then I found out it was going to rain on that day, so I was just like, eh. So I did not spend the money. Number 12, have you or would you ever go Yule bucking? Now, Yule bucking is, you dress up like a goat. This is after Christmas. And I think it's between Christmas and New Year's. You dress up like a goat and you go around the neighborhood. It's basically like trick-or-treating. Adults dress up like goats. They go around to their neighbor's house, and their neighbors try to guess who is who, and then they give them candy. And Yule bucking is actually where they would sometimes sing songs and insult the neighbors, but it was in great fun. It was all in jest. And tradition would say that every house that you go to, one person from that household would have to join the Yule bucking party and move on to the next house. So it just keeps gathering and gathering and gathering. So I have not done it, but would I dress up like a goat and go around the freaking neighborhood? You bet I would. I actually have a goat skull mask. I'm getting ideas. Number 13, do you celebrate Krampusnacht? I don't in the traditional sense that I don't have a Krampus outfit. I really want one, and I wanted to buy one this year because I wanted to go around on Krampusnacht with bells and just walk around the neighborhood, and I was going to get on my neighborhood page, and I'm sorry about the background noise, I'm doing laundry. I was going to get on my neighborhood page and tell them to tell their children to look out the window and make sure that they're being very good because Krampus is coming, and I was going to walk around the neighborhood, but I couldn't afford the Krampus outfit, so maybe I'll make one for next year. I would love to. Number 14, do you celebrate any other pagan rituals during the Yule Tide season? In a way I do. Some of the things that you can do is just keep lights up throughout the entire winter to welcome in the light and welcome the sun back in. Little things like that, keeping some greenery, burning greenery scents. I do stuff like that, but besides my altars, no, I really don't, but that doesn't mean that I won't if I find something that I want to do. Number 15, what are your favorite Yule scents? Well, greenery, obviously, because it's about, just like why we bring the tree into the home, it's about celebrating the evergreen, because it represents life coming back into the world, like life in the world when everything else is dead. And I love orange and clove. And oranges are fantastic because the reason why orange slices are great Yule tree decorations is because they represent the golden sun, and we're welcoming the sun to come back in. That's what it's all about. So orange, clove, and greenery are my favorite Yule scents. Here are some ways to celebrate Yule if you're in the closet. You can't come out as pagan to your family or whatever, or maybe you're celebrating for the first time. One thing that you can do is just put up lights. You're welcoming in that light into the dark seasons, into the dark times. So putting up lights is a good way. In your heart, you're intending these are for Yule. These lights are for Yule. Just put your intent into them. That's what matters. Make a wreath. Like I said about the greenery is about bringing in the outdoors and celebrating nature and celebrating the evergreen life that is going on while everything else in the world is dormant and dead. So make a wreath. Put your intent into that wreath. And I mean, who doesn't want to go out in the woods and find some greenery and take a nature walk in the woods? That's something that you can do to celebrate Yule in your heart. You know, just take in all the smells and the sounds of the forest and just appreciate being in nature and getting in contact with the earth. And then it puts, when you do that, it puts everything else aside and you don't have to worry about anything else. It's just you and nature in the way that it should be. Feed the birds. That is one thing you can do. Now, I did see somebody say go out in the forest and feed the animals. I don't cotton to that. I don't think that you should be throwing down things for animals that are not necessarily part of their normal diet. Now, that being said, I realize that, you know, filling up a bird feeder is giving them maybe a different type of seed that they would not come across. But I do black oil sunflower seeds exclusively, and that is indigenous to this region, so that is something that they do eat. So I'm not disturbing any balance of nature by feeding them. But that's a way for me to, again, have that little contact with nature, you know. You make natural ornaments for your holiday tree. The ornaments that I made were the orange slices, and then I used twine to hang them because that's a natural, more of a natural fiber. And I put pine cones, and instead of hanging the pine cones like most people do, my husband and I tucked them in the tree so they look natural, like they're actually growing on the tree, and it's really beautiful. The most important way that you can celebrate Yule is to give to the less fortunate. Now, I know that this has been a very tough year for so many people, but usually, even if we've gone through a tough time, we've got some staple foods in our pantries, cans of soup. Just, do you have any blankets you don't use anymore? Blankets, pillows, old jackets that you don't wear. I'm not talking, don't give people stuff that's torn up. That's not nice. But, go to a shelter. They're always needing help and volunteers or soup kitchens. And I would personally prefer to stay away from ones that are religious based, because I don't believe it is right to force people to listen to a sermon on your religion before you feed them, and that's what a lot of the places around here do, and it breaks my heart. But there are some shelters that help the homeless or the less fortunate that are secular. And to me, it's about giving to other people. It's not about forcing your beliefs on people. It's about giving to other people and helping those that need help. And you know what? If you don't have, so maybe you're at home and you still live with your parents, or maybe you're a college kid or something, and you don't really have that much money. Say, look, the jacket that I have is the jacket that I have. That's all I have. I've only got like one blanket. I've only got this. I don't have anything to give. I don't have any extra food. You know what? Time. You can give your time to somebody. Maybe the elderly woman down the street needs somebody to go pick up her, medicine, or, maybe she needs a ride somewhere. Or maybe your neighbor is stuck at home with the dreaded C, and you can go get them some groceries. Our neighbors did it for us when we were stuck in the house for 2 weeks. And I have offered to do it to some people in this neighborhood that have posted that they are now stuck at home. So if you can help somebody out that way, it's just about giving to other people and helping people out. So I know that this was long and it was rambling. It was just supposed to be a fun tag, but I also wanted to talk about the spirit of the season, and I think that helping each other out is the most important thing that we can do. So that's it. That was the Yule Tag, and I hope you had a lot of fun with it, and maybe it will give you some new ideas and maybe some new things, or maybe some new traditions that you can bring into your home. And that being said, I appreciate it, and I hope you all have a happy holiday season, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.